Bookie Beatdown coming at you, Paul, Cody, UFC Vegas 108. We're back in the Apex for a couple weeks here. And a card that's taken a few hits here and there, but they're trying to cobble something together here. No complaints from me. There's some violent spots. There's a couple pooches I think I'm going to end up having some action on. So breaking down so much MMA every single week that there really is no UFC card. And I used to be like, oh, horrible card. Now I just look at the results and go like last week's UFC card. I'm like, oh my God, horrible card. But that's on me. That's on me for having bad bets, bad opinions, bad reads, and sometimes for the fighters just not showing up how you expected. Someone like Robert Whittaker getting tired and gassed. You already did the recap on the Bookie Beatdown channel, but I'm sure you had some thoughts about that. Anyway, any thoughts before we get into the action here?
Yeah, well, I wore my Don Fry shirt today because I was feeling down in the dumps after last week. As a whole, I went 4-8 in 12 fights. It was an abysmal effort. I'm kind of feeling low on myself. So, I thought to myself, Don Fry, I mean, legendary fighter, he went on some bad skids himself. Hell, he got knocked out by Sonny Westbrook in a hotel lobby while he was drunk off his ass. Thought to myself, I'm going to go on this spirit journey, call my spirit animal Don Fry, and say, what would Don say about this cold streak situation? And it came to me, Paul. He would say, stop being a pussy. And so I'm going to stop being a pussy. Don't feel bad for yourself. We've got 12 more fights. Ironically, we're in the Apex in Las Vegas. There's only 5 Americans on this entire card. It is as international as it gets. I guess they don't have enough Japanese guys to go to Japan. Don't have enough Korean guys to go to Korea. Don't got enough Scottish guys to go to Scotland. So let's just blend them all in on one card. Thankfully, I actually do like this card from a betting standpoint. So yeah, shake it off, get back on the horse, and hit some winning bets. That's what we're here to do. And we'll start off with the main event.
Main event, we got Tatsuro Taira taking on Young Sung Park. Minus 400 for Taira currently. The comeback on Park, plus 300. Park's had a nice little run here. But not somebody like when I looked at like Road to the UFC, everything like that I had high hopes for. I mean, I faded him against Carlos Hernandez last time out, and boy, did that look stupid. But I had seen multiple fights, one, him getting knocked down in fights, 2, the cardio kind of looking suspect in like round 2, round 3. Now he's stepping up, short notice for this opponent in a massive, massive step up in competition. Nothing like he's ever seen before. The market opened, minus 220. That didn't last long, 330. And she keeps climbing on Tatsuro Taira. Even at this price right now, it's hard for me to jump off the Taira side, as I think the striking is really, really improved for him over the last little bit. And 2, he's grappling super elite. He's been fighting some of the better guys in the division. This is kind of was supposed to be a situation where we're getting close to like number 1 contenders and getting into title talks and stuff like that. I don't know if this fight's going to put him on that map, but I expect him to roll through Park. What's your take here?
Yeah, same thing. Is that I'm starting to become a Taira believer, and you know me, I've tried to fade this guy a few times. Did fade him his last time out against Brener Val, but that was the fight that made me a believer. When you're a young prospect, and Taira's still only 25 years old now, you're gonna go through these challenges. Oh, this guy was an easy matchup. Oh, this guy's not ranked, and then how you start to perform against the better level of guys, that's the real indicator of how good you are. So for Taira, I thought that they had low-balled him for the most part. In that Edgar Chavez fight, he loses the second round, gets knocked down, can't take him down, doesn't look that good. His fight with Alex Perez, he loses the first round to Alex Perez. So there's moments where it's like, yeah, see, he's not doing this good, he's not doing that good. But that Royval fight, regardless of the fact that he lost, yeah, he showed developments everywhere. I mean, yeah, his striking has improved. His timing's really good. His physicality is really not all that bad. And his ability to get to the back and control opponents is top notch. Brandon Royval's grappling is as good as anybody's in the division. And he was able to take him down 6 times and rack up a whole bunch of control time. Yeah, Royval made it a scramble, as he always does. And Royval's got cardio for months, not days, months. Like, he goes forever. So in that regard, it's like Taira going 5 rounds with him, having a solid performance in one fight of the night. That led me to believe at 25 years old and continuously getting better, he's going to be a problem. Park, meanwhile, he's 30 years old, took the road to the UFC route because I guess that was the opportunity. And as Paul, as you mentioned, a couple fights he gets knocked down. Same thing against Top Noi Kerwan. He hits the deck, gets back up, and then he's able to get his own offensive grappling going. Against Carlos Hernandez, took him down. Against Shannon Ross, he's going tit for tat, strike for strike. Ross is actually having plenty of moments. And as you mentioned, his cardio looks like it's starting to wait a bit. And then, finally he puts Ross down. Body shot as well. I just kind of get the feeling that Taira's a little more polished, a little more refined, better grappler, striking really not bad enough that he just loses it 100% on the feet. He's got 5-round experience. He's fought in the far superior level of competition. It just feels like it's really trending towards Tatsuro Taira for me. So I'm on board with that. And like you said, even though he's a sizable favorite, feels like he wins this fight more often than not, and is still a decent play this week.
We move on to the co-main event. We've got Mateusz Rebecki taking on Chris Duncan. Rebecki about a minus 200 favorite to come back on Duncan, plus 170, plus 180. Where are you at with the co-main event?
Yeah, so I think it could be a difficult fight because when I watch Chris Duncan, there's a lot of elements that I like. I think he's got some decent power. He's a physical guy. Obviously, that guillotine choke is always in play. I mean, he's made it work his last 2 fights. His own offensive wrestling is getting better, although I think that there's still a hole in his defensive wrestling. And when you're training at American Top Team and you're inside circle and you're getting rounds with Dustin Poirier, I mean, I get he just retired, but Duncan's one of his main go-to guys at ATT. Surely you're going to get a lot better. I don't think he wears damage all that well. If he's forced to stay in a prolonged striking exchange, I think you can really hurt this guy. And if you mind your P's and Q's and you don't shoot a blast double leg straight into a guillotine choke, I think he get exploited on the ground. When you watch his fight with Vyacheslav Borshev on the Contender Series his first time around, it's like once Borshev's just able to get back up and really start to flow some combinations, Duncan folds. His win over Charlie Campbell, his second time around the Contender Series, Charlie Campbell's beating his ass, and then he's able to hit him with a beautifully timed counter, put Charlie down. But I don't love the way he wears damage. After that, he became a wrestling machine. Took Omar Morales down 5 times, took down Yonel Ashmouz down twice. His fight with Manuel Torres, he got subbed, but against Balaji Oki, he's losing the fight. Balaji shoots into a double leg. And against Jordan Vucinic, he took him down 4 times, and then eventually Vucinic shot himself into a double leg. He did have a clean knockdown over Jordan Vucinic as well. As I said, I don't think his striking is super polished or refined, but he's got some natural power. He's got a tight little guillotine choke. He's opportunistic when you present him with something. He's not a bad fighter. But with Mateusz Rebecki, if he just minds his P's and Q's, man, this guy's a machine. Like, I'd say he's a poor man's version of an Armin Sarukian or a Mateusz Gamrot, but he's got that kind of style where he's relentless with his pressure. Now, I'll admit, this guy cost me a PRP against Carlos Diego Ferreira, but he dropped Carlos Diego Ferreira in that first round. He had him almost out of there. Unfortunately, this savvy veteran hung around a little too long, was able to make him pay, take him out in the 3rd round, but I still thought he showed a bunch of moments in that fight. And then in his last fight against Orlabai, just nasty work. Just scores a knockdown on Orlabai himself. I mean, they're close fights. They're competitive fights. He gets finished in one of them. Against Orlabai, he ends up winning a tight split decision. But the guy is capable of competing with the best guys when he's on. And when he's not on, still capable of having moments against the best guys, but just falling short. Anything short of that, he absolutely makes quick work of his guys. You see him against Roosevelt Roberts, Loic Radzbadanov, Nick Fiore. None of those guys are terrible, but he makes them look terrible because he's a cut above. Now, he is getting a little bit older. And like I said, I don't think he's to the level of a Gamrot. I don't think he's to the level of, a Tsarukian. Those guys are title challengers. Those guys are top 5. He's not quite there. But against anybody outside of the top 10 or fringe top 10 guys, he's just a real big problem. How does he match against Duncan? Well, is Duncan going to knock him out? Yeah, not likely, although possible. Really don't think likely. So if he keeps putting this pressure on Duncan, Duncan's going to be doing what he's been doing, which is shoot offensive takedowns. And whereas it works on lesser guys, it ain't going to work on Rebecki. Rebecki is probably going to shoot takedowns himself, but do I think he's going to shoot himself into a guillotine choke? Something he's probably been training on extensively for this fight? I don't think so. So I just feel like he's got more pressure, more cardio, more pace. He's got the ability to hurt Duncan. He's got the ability to come back from a bad round. I expect the first to be competitive. I expect Rebecki to take over in the second or the third. Live bets on the table. He either lose. If he's going to lose, it's going to be the first. And if not, Duncan's best round's that first. Maybe you get a better line on him going into the second, going into the third. But once he figures out Duncan and figures out where the danger zones are, he'll start to avoid those. And once he does that, I think he's going to put this into his wheelhouse and either get a late finish or a UD 29-28 worst case scenario.
Yeah, I was just curious. That's short. Rebecki KO prop because it's been a while since we've seen that Duncan chin kind of rear its ugly head.
It's gonna though.
It's coming back, and it may be this fight, maybe because it's considerably shorter than what I was hoping. There it's like plus 163 at one book, plus 188 I think was the best I saw.
Vucinic hit him with some good shots too that you could tell it was like, oh no, but he had a get out of jail free card with his wrestling. If that's not on the table here, he's going to be forced to take those punches, right?
Yeah. The takedown defense is a little bit of a concern for Rebecki, but I think his grappling ability should at least keep him out of submissions early in this fight. Hopefully the cardio holds up. It did against Orobai. What a fight that was. Like one of the biggest bangers you're ever going to see. But Orobai's strong as an ox. And really, like, as the fight wore on, was struggling to really, like, take him down. His eye was actually absolutely beaten up. Let's face it. Chris Duncan's not taking that punishment. I would be pretty surprised to see Chris Duncan take the punishment that Orobai took against Rebecki in that fight. So I'm with you. Let's keep this fight upright. If it gets to the ground, just don't panic. He's such a when he came into the UFC, we kind of talked about him as like a guy who was like already pretty seasoned. He was what he was at that point. We weren't going to see crazy improvements fight to fight, but he was already a well-polished machine. Yeah, Rebecki's the side for me as well in this fight. Moving on down, we got Esteban Ribovics taking on Elves Brener. Minus 250-ish for Ribovics. The comeback on Brener plus 210. This is going to be an absolute firefight. Love the matchmaking in this one. Pick is Ribovics because he throws so much volume, but the issue is, and why I don't think I can get to him at a minus 250 price tag, is that he gets hit too much. So it's like this is going to be an absolute like war on the feet between the two of these guys. I just think that Esteban Ribovics edges out Brener in terms of volume over the course of 15 minutes. But I don't know if I want to be holding a ticket minus 250 in a back and forth war that I expect these two guys to have. Where are you with Ribovics versus Brener, Cody?
So I am gonna go ever so slight lean, probably PRP pick, but I did take Brener. I took Brener because I just don't really agree with the odds. I think it's gonna be a much closer and competitive fight than the line dictates, and I think that Brener's capable of winning it. But my view is quite literally the polar opposite of how you're thinking this thing goes down. If he stands and strikes with Ribovics, I think he gets doubled up. Like the thing with Ribovics is that he throws gross volume, and he's done it multiple times. Kamuela Kirk 115 landed, Daniel Zellhuber 156 landed, Nasrat Hakpross 147 landed. Brener can bang, absolutely, but he's not a high volume guy. He's going to land 60. So if he strictly stands and strikes with them, I think he's going to get hit twice as much as he's hitting. And again, he's been stung a few times. He's been knocked down a few times. I don't think that standing for a prolonged period of time is the way to go. Now, wrestling is the way to go on this thing. When you look at Ribovics, it's like, well, how can he lose? Well, when he locked to Loic Razbadanov, he got taken down 11 times, right? Mm-hmm. When he fought Kamuela Kirk took him down 3 times. Nasrat Hakpross in his last fight, Nasrat Hakpross has a career takedown accuracy of 20%. And Hakpross also took him down, not for long, and it was 1 for 5, but I think the path of victory would be take this guy down. He is your classic South American banger, Argentinian kid, young, going to stand in front of you and is dynamite. If you want to stand and bang with him, it's a bad path. Now, where's the guy's hole? Well, we don't know how good his grappling is. We don't know how good his takedown defense is. But a few guys have somewhat exploited it in the past. So when you look at Elves Brener, it's like he's only got a 23% takedown accuracy. It's the level of guys he's been fighting. His debuts against Zubair Tukhugov, who's a 6-1 underdog against, and he beat. His next fight's against Guram Kudalits, who he's a big underdog against. Kudalits is gigantic and coming off a win over Mateusz Gamrot, and he took him down twice and beat him. His fight with Mirbek Orolbai, we just talked about. Orolbai is like one of the biggest guys in the division. He's absolutely ginormous. Not only did he manage 3 takedowns on him, but he had 2 sweeps. He got mounted. He reverses, ends up on top. He mounts Orolbai. He had an excellent fight against Orolbai. And then his last time out against Joel Alvarez, Joel Alvarez is 6'3" with a 77-inch reach. He is ginormous. It's a bad matchup. So it looks bad. And because it looked bad, I think people are somewhat writing him off. Between Joel Alvarez and Orlobai and Guram Kudalits, he's probably taken on the three biggest guys in the division. So, I mean, he's used to that. And he's used to being the underdog. And he's performed well historically as the underdog. He's got good striking. He's got a good right hand. He's got good, but he's not a combination thrower, and he tends to move backwards. So Ribovics is going to be moving forward constantly and doubling him up. The visuals are not going to be good. And if that's how the fight plays out, Ribovics is going to win it. But if he can mix in these takedowns, dude, you're taking down Orlobai and you're sweeping to end up on top. His ground game is sufficient. His wrestling is sufficient. Taking down Joel Alvarez, well, why would you want to do that? Orlobai, dude, he's huge. Guram Kudalits, he's huge. He's a training partner of Ilia Topuria, big old Georgian guy. Zubair Tuhugov is a training partner of Habib. His takedown percentage looks low because of these terrible matchups he's gotten. Ribovics, meanwhile, fought Nasrat Hakparas is a volume striker, right? Daniel Zellhuber is a volume striker. Terrence McKinney may have been able to exploit his shaky takedown defense, but the fight's over in 37 seconds. He had no time. Kamala Kirk's really not all that good. He took him down 3 times. So I understand why I got the dog here. I understand why Brener's supposed to lose. But if you're looking at a percentage thing, it's like I think he wins enough times to justify the price tag of taking a shot on him. And yeah, of course, not every favorite's going to win. Look at last week, Dog City. Week before that, pretty well Dog City. So yeah, there's going to be some dog sitting on every card. Just kind of feel like Brener's one of those live ones.
All right, moving on down. We've got Karol Rosa taking on Nora Cornolle. Minus 175 for the favorite, Karol Rosa. The comeback on Cornolle plus 150. Your thoughts?
I feel like Karol Rosa, minus 175, minus 180 range. Like, it doesn't sound terrible, but one, women's MMA, so expect the unexpected. There's no real value here. And the thing with Karol Rosa is she's totally 50-50. Like, she's capable of hanging with a lot of the girls in the division, and then there's other performances where she just not mails it in, but usually gets taken down and has no get-up game. BJJ black belt, striking for not real technical, polished striking, but just high volume, pressure in your face, cardio, no problem. But her fights are just always close. They're always competitive. If she's the underdog, good chance she may win it. If she's the favorite, I'm not so down. What I do like in this matchup, though, and it's the reason why I'm going to take Karol Rosa, is there's not as much of a threat as the takedown. Like I faded her last time against Eileen Perez. Perez was the underdog, but there's a threat of the takedown, right? Her fight with Norma Dumont. Big Norma's just a real big girl, standing cage control and a takedown. Sarah McMahon won an Olympic silver medal. There's a threat of the takedown. Those are the girls that beat her. The Irene Aldana fight, yeah, Irene Aldana didn't take her down, but I mean, that was a hell of a fight. One fight of the night, she outstruck Aldana 204 to 145. So if you don't take her down, that's what happens. Pani Kianzad didn't take her down. She landed 117 against Pani. Irene, 204. Her fight with Betch Kohea, 125. Her fight with Vanessa Mello, 120. Her fight with Laura Procopio, 171. Her total career striking average, she lands over 6 strikes per minute. So the way to beat her is to take her down. And when I look at Nora Cornolle, she's got some decent Muay Thai. She's good in the clinch, got nice bodies, nice knees to the body, sorry. I think that because she's going to be, a little bit tighter in that Muay Thai clinch, that she may have some success up against the cage. She may have some success in tight. But as a whole, I think she's just going to get outworked. Her last fight against Haley Cowan, lost the first round of Haley Cowan, got taken down, controlled, not a great look. She came back in the second, got a rear naked choke, but it's a low-level opponent. It's a low-level win. And again, I didn't think she looked good. Her fight with Jacqueline Calvacanti, who's on paper, straight striker, volume girl. And they mostly negated each other. And it was just like, strike for strike. I think she's more refined than Karol Rosa. I really do. I just feel like if they're both going to stand in front of each other for 15 minutes, Rosa's landing at least 110, 120, 130, where Cornolle will land 70, 80 maybe. In fact, that would be real high for her. She's never landed more than 54 significant strikes in a fight to this point. So it's just a volume game. If you can land big knee to the body, big elbow over the top, and shoot a takedown, yeah, you can make this thing work on lower volume. But if you're strictly going to stand with her, and I feel like that's what Cornolle is going to do, Rosa's going to just drown her in volume at some point. So that's the name of the game for me. More strikes landed than absorbed. Karol Rosa. Yeah. Unanimous decision. Look at Karol Rosa's track record. She ever finished anybody? No, her
No.
last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Actually
6,
incredible.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11 fights in the UFC. All of them have gone to decision. So
Incredible stretch of
it's just what she is, bro.
overshooting.
It's just what she does.
So that, I mean, everyone's gonna parlay this thing up, this over 2.5. But I mean, this sport is a crazy sport. So I mean, nobody really had Tabitha Ricci getting the knockout last week. That was like a 25-1 prop that hit. And like when you look at like all the markets on fight odds, nothing. Nobody even sniffed that line, let alone bet it. Like there was no line movement, no anything like that. Crazy things happen in this sport all the time. I'm gonna poke holes in the Karol Rosa theory here. I understand that she throws way more volume. A lot of it's leg kicks and like not particularly like hard leg kicks, and not really like eye-catching type of striking. That's why she's like outstruck certain opponents and still loses the decision. She stays definitely a lot more busy. The concerns for me with her, and like we're picking holes. And it's more kind of like that I'm not letting Karol Rosa ruin my weekend.
That's fair.
But like I remember backing Lena Landsberg, and Lena Landsberg knocked this girl down. Cornolle's gonna be throwing bombs in the pocket there. That would be a little bit concerning for me. That like, the elbow queen, who was like already 40 at that point, looking real slow plodding, like was able to limit the amount of significant strikes. Was definitely taking down, controlled in some periods of time in that fight, but like on the feet was able to cause some serious damage. Yana Santos, what happened in this fight? Basically no takedown attempts whatsoever. She went 1 for 1 in that fight. I mean, the Aldana fight's a pretty good barometer for it. 204 significant strikes. There is no way. I would be very, very surprised to see Cornolle keep up with any sort of pace like that. But she showed in the Cavalcanti fight that she could at least hang with a very credible opponent, a rising opponent in Cavalcanti, who's been doing pretty decently. For me, it's CF dot, but unless the line really grows a whole bunch, like I don't think 60-40, which is basically where it's lined right now, is too far off. Who do I think wins more often than not? I think Karol Rosa wins. Who do I think is the value? Absolutely nobody at the current price right now. So to pass for me, maybe it becomes a dog or pass for me, but we'll see where the line is on Saturday. No bet for me on that fight, but for the purposes of this show, I suppose I'll pick Nora Cornolle to get the job done. All right, moving on down, we got Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos taking on Neil Magny. Zaleski, a minus 200 favorite. Comeback on Magny, plus 170. Who you got here, Coach?
Yeah, honestly, like this feels like a trap of sorts in that it just seems too straightforward. Too straightforward in that Neil Magny maybe pulls this thing off and costs people money this week. So I don't really want to bet it. And then I also don't really want to take Neil Magny. So I'm in a tough spot. With Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, no doubt, if he's at his best or if you get a good version of him on Saturday night, then yeah, his striking is probably too much for Neil Magny. I mean, he's a physical enough guy that without offensive wrestling on the table, he can probably just use it to keep standing, land the better strikes. Magny's been knocked out quite a few times. He's been hurt bad in his last 2 fights. He's not looked very good whatsoever. He's 1-4, 1-4 of his last 5 fights. It's been a bad run for him, right? So Zaleski should be able to go out there and take care of business. But he himself is 38 years old and he's had a lot of injuries. He's got a lot of miles, and sometimes he shows up and sometimes he doesn't. My biggest problem is finding out what kind of game plan he's planning on utilizing, because he doesn't. Sometimes you expect him to strike and he tries to wrestle. Sometimes you expect him to wrestle and he tries to strike. His fight with Randy Brown, that's 3 fights back. He won the second round. Had a good second round, landed 2 takedowns in that round, had some control time up against the cage, showed that he still had some pop in his shot, was able to get there. And then third round, he just can't take him down. Starts to get tired and takes a bit of a mauling. Brown's a top contender. Brown's a top 15, fringe top 15 guy. He's very serviceable. You give him a pass there. Chidi Bang Bang his last time out. He can't take down Chidi. Chi's too big, too strong in the clinch, and ends up hurting him real bad with the knee, knocks him out in the second round, TKOs him in the second round. I don't know against Neil Magny if his plan is, hey, Neil's big, or not big, but tall, lanky. I can press him up against the cage, just like I did Randy Brown. I could probably get him down, which I think he can. But is that the game plan? Or is your game plan, well, this guy's been knocked out his last 2 times. I'm going to bring some of this capoeira back and throw with him. Again, it's like he's falling into 50-50 territory. And because he's a 2-1 favorite, I don't know that I can trust him that often. With Magny, the reason why I say it's trappy is that Magny's been looking real bad, no doubt about it. But he looked bad against Carlos Prates, okay?
Michael
And then before that,
Morales.
Michael Morales. And then before that, the Mike Malott fight, yeah, he was down 2 rounds, but Mike Malott's pretty good. And so, I mean, he really only fights the creme de la creme. And like Mike's trying to take a serious run at it right now. Michael Morales is going to be getting a title shot in the next 2 years. Carlos Prates was fringe top 5 guy there. If he beat Ian Gary, he probably would have gotten a title fight. Prior to the Mike Malott fight, he fought Ian Gary to a decision, got his leg chewed to bits. None of those fights concern me. The one that does is the Phil Rowe fight, where he couldn't take Phil Rowe down, and Phil Rowe soundly outstruck him. Now, he did win the fight, but it wasn't a very good fight in the slightest bit. I really don't rank Phil Rowe. When I look at Zaleski Dos Santos, could he just have some spots standing, land the bigger eye-catching blows? Yeah. Could he go to those leg kicks and really put a thumping on Magny, who stands tall and flat-footed the way Ian Gary was able to neutralize the leg kicks? Yes. Could he outmuscle him in the clinch and score some takedowns along the way? Yes. But if he starts to slow down, Neil's fought real good guys, only really loses to premier good guys. And if you start to fatigue, Neil never fatigues. Cardio is his best asset. And so I think if you're going to bet Neil Magny, it's another live bet spot where you get a better line after the first round. And Zaleski's a very, very dangerous man. Dude knocked out Sean Strickland at 170 pounds once upon a time with a spinning wheel kick. He's a problem, right? But outside of that first round, you'll start to notice him slow down. And if he slows down enough to your liking that you feel Neil's live, you'll get a better line on it. And Neil's always live the later these fights go. So pre-fight flop, like I really hate to say this, but I think I'm going to take Neil Magny. Let me see what weigh-ins look like. Let me see all that good stuff. Let me see a few more interviews, but I just feel like 2-1's not a good enough price tag on Zaleski, who fights like a 50-50 guy. And so, yeah, Neil for some dog money.
Yeah, I've backed Zaleski a whole bunch, and mixed bag of results over the years. And yeah, it's like when he starts becoming a pretty big favorite, I just can't really get to it. Neil's got like a 7-inch reach advantage. He's gonna have to hang out. When he's throwing his jab, he's probably in range of that wheel kick. So that's definitely on the table of things that could happen to Neil Magny in this fight. But he kind of broke it down for me already. It's like cardio. The one thing that really hasn't left Neil at this point. Remember, like Neil Magny used to fight like every 2 months. He was such a company man.
Yeah.
People were talking about Neil Magny getting like a title shot and stuff. Like it was crazy times. But Neil's been in there with every single style. He's seen just about everything. And all those losses recently, he's kind of became the gatekeeper of like, oh, are you top 15? If you get through Neil Magny, you're a top 15 kind of guy. If you've got one super elite skill, you can definitely, exploit Neil Magny in that way. I think at his prime, Elizeu Zaleski Dos Santos had an elite skill, and it was that athleticism, that ability to, the wheel kicks, everything like that. As he gets older, he seems a little bit slower. We're seeing a lot less of that. It seems like Father Time's kind of catching up with him a bit. I was on him against Cheaty. You were on the other, like you were on Cheaty, and boy, did I feel stupid on that one. Am I being reactionary because I lost a bet on this guy last time out? Perhaps. But Neil Magny's a pick for me pre-flop. But I do agree that, Magny doesn't finish guys early typically. Very, very rare. It's probably been an eternity since the last time that's happened. So line betting seems to be the better way to get in on Neil Magny because it's probably at the very least going to be competitive early. Maybe he loses the first round. What Magny's got to do is keep this fight at a certain pace, though. He's got to you can't just cruise against Elizeu Zaleski Dos Santos. You're gonna have to take some risk. probably take some shots early, and then wear them down late. But yeah, it's Magny for me as well. We move on down. We've got Kevin Vallejos taking on Danny Silva. Vallejos are minus 430 favorite to come back on Silva, plus 330. Your thoughts?
So I'm a Kevin Vallejos guy, and I think Kevin Vallejos wins this fight. But this is a bad line, man. And when you talk about guys that shit in the apple pie last week, they were all big favorites. They're all, sizable enough favorites. They all should have won more often than not. And yet, when you saw them, it's like, wow, bad style clashes. When I look at Kevin Vallejos, this kid's young. He's super exciting. He's got big, big power. And really, it's the loss on the Contender Series against John Silva that's just aged so well that's really building this kid into some solid hype. He's 23 years old. He still makes a ton of mistakes, but he's another one of these South Americans stand in the pocket and just nuke you with shots kind of guy. I thought his fight with John Silva was excellent. He hurt Silva to the body, got taken down once on 3 attempts, but popped right back up. Pace for days, chin for days, durability for days. We've seen the same Argentinian mold a few times. In fact, it's on this card as well with Ribovics. His fight with Cam Teague, well, Cam Teague's just kind of a good old Southern boy who was there to get hit, and hit he did. Sungwoo Choi's got a real bad chin. Pretty well all Sungwoo Choi's losses are by knockout, and so he's knocked him out. They look really, really good, and I think this kid is pretty good, but he's still really young. And to this point, he's fought Cam Teague is a brawler who's going to stand in front of you, and Sungwoo Choi is a Korean Muay Thai guy who's relatively going to stand right in front of you. John Silva, guy's a Brazilian madman who's going to stand right in front of you. No one's really tested his grappling. No one's really tested his wrestling. No one's really tested, him into some, I guess you can't say deeper waters. Him and John Silva was an absolute dogfight.
Mm-hmm.
I think his cardio is good, his durability is good, his power is good. It's just, again, it's like there's going to be holes in his game. And could somebody craft together a proper game plan and exploit some vulnerabilities? I think so. Danny Silva's only 28. Right? But that being 5 years older, closer to your prime, closer to your shape, I think he's closer to giving him a vet lesson. He's a Cub Swanson guy, longtime pupil of Cub, and he's a tricky fighter. He's got volume for days. His fight with Angel Pacheco, he landed 204 significant strikes. His fight with Josh Kulabau, terrible fight, but he missed weight. I want to say he was probably pretty sick for that fight. He opted to just try to wrestle Kulabau instead of striking with him. But then you saw in his fight with Lucas Almeida, also had a little bit of wrestling, but was able to just land 82 significant strikes. At 28, he's going to be making some improvements. So when you watch tape on him and you say, well, these are holes, similar to Vallejos, they're going to be getting better fight to fight. But I feel like he could, in fact, mix in some wrestling. 4 takedowns on Kulabau really weren't that bad when you rewatch that fight. Decent setups. He can strike. He mostly just comes forward. And he's super tricky, man. Bomb side to side. Counters quite well. Similar to a Cub Swanson. It's like, it's hard to get a super good read on it. So I do think Vallejos wins the fight. And I do think Vallejos, has the better striking per se. It's that this guy, Danny Silva, is going to keep it close. He's going to keep it competitive. We're in Las Vegas. We've got awful judges. Don't be in a situation where he lands 100 significant strikes. You land some better strikes, but maybe slightly fewer of them. It ends up being close. And I got a minus 400 favorite on a 23-year-old kid. It's really not been tested to this point. So
he was tested against John Silva.
Yeah, you're right.
The rising prospect.
But that's John Silva in the Contender Series. That's not John Silva that we got now. But you're right, dude. That was a really good fight. I got Vallejos. I don't know that I can put him on my top ticket at minus 400 because I got a feeling that this thing's going to be just way tighter than that. And so again, he is my pick. But I got a lot of respect for Danny Silva. And I think if you're a Danny Silva guy and you're considering backing him, I see it. Going to be a close fight. He's going to have to fight one hell of a smart game plan. But is it possible? Yes. And is this a situation, a Peyton Talbot situation, or a whatever, where you've got a hot, talented striking prospect, looks good? Could be a Daniel Zellhuber, could be Wagner Prado was really never a prospect, I suppose. Just you do see it all the time, Guy wins 2 fights against chinny guys or fellow strikers, looks really good, 2 highlight reel finishes, everybody's on him. There's still a huge hole in his game that we've not seen yet to be exploited. We see it all the time. Could be a situation. But yeah, I do have Vallejos. I'm complaining about the line more than anything. Minus 400. I don't like it. But I guess I'm just going to have to plug my nose and accept it, Paul.
Yeah. I mean, the problem I would have with backing Danny Silva here. One, I really like everything I've seen from Vallejos, even like his stuff on like the regional scene. Like, looks like a very, very solid prospect. But he is like only 5'7". He's pretty short. 68-inch reach. He's giving up 2 inches of reach. He's probably in this division going to be giving up length and reach, which is valuable when your main skill is striking, right? Like you're going to need that. That's going to end up starting to cause some problems for him. But the problem for Danny Silva is like hit 197 times by Angel Pacheco. Josh Kulabau, not exactly some sort of like world-class striker, 87 significant strikes. He was able to mix in the wrestling in that fight. I would worry for Danny Silva and company that if you're getting hit 100 times by Kevin Vallejos, well, you may be losing your consciousness on Saturday night. These guys are bigger hitter. Kevin Vallejos, from everything I've seen, is a much bigger hitter than either of those guys. So the striking defense seems to be the biggest problem for Danny Silva at this stage in his career, and I think he's about to meet his match. It's only like a pick 'em for Vallejos KO, but I'm sure I'll have that somewhere in the mix. And I don't love the minus, you know me, I don't love most minus 400s unless it's regionals, and then sometimes even those guys absolutely
you
my
look
pie
at
as well.
yeah, no, I know. Well, I was looking at Danny Silva's only loss, right? Because he lost to Kanan Kawehe, and it's like first round he's doing good on the feet, he gets taken down. Second round he's doing good on the feet, he gets taken down 4 times. Third round it's like he 10-8s him on one judge scorecard, which is why it's a majority. But he's never been knocked down, he's never been knocked out, he's never been submitted. So if you got striker versus striker and they both put up volume, you're right. Vallejos may punch him in the face 100 times, but if he lands 100 punches of his own, it's just going to look closer than the minus 400.
Yep.
All I'm saying. But we're in agreement on the pick. Just you feel like you're a little more confident than I am, which I appreciate that. I appreciate your confidence. But I'm expecting a fight of the night type performance where both guys give out a lot of pain, take a lot of pain, and hopefully get $50,000 each as a bonus afterwards.
We got Rinya Nakamura taking on Nathan Fletcher, minus 400 for Rinya. The comeback on Fletcher, plus 300. Who you got here?
Am I ready to be hurt again, Paul Shaughnessy?
I don't know. Are you?
I don't know, man. I was listening to some Purple Rain by Prince earlier, and I was like, I think I'm ready to get hurt again. But like, what's Rinya's deal? Because on one hand, it's like his father was a Shudo legend. This kid's got wrestling for days. He was a member of the all Japanese team. Solid credentials, and that would be his path to victory. He's a solid athlete as well, and his striking, although it looked real bad his last time out, it's not terrible. Like, he's got good timing, he's got great athleticism. He kind of looked like he's not a fighter. It looked like he's a great athlete, talented guy, probably been doing it his whole life because his father put him into it at a young age. And like, I don't know that he's got the desire of Darren Elkins. I don't know that he's got the desire of Jean Silva. I don't know that he's got that real inner dog in him. But again, when you look at the run on road to the UFC, he made everyone look real bad. His power definitely looks good. But again, it's like he needs to hit you with a one-hitter quitter. He's not really going to put together an extended combination. He's not really going to set traps. His footwork's not bad. His ability to set up angles isn't bad. But they matched him up pretty slow. Fernie Garcia in his UFC debut, he got 4 takedowns, but pretty well everybody finishes Fernie, right? So like, it's no knock on you. It's your UFC debut, and the wrestling looked solid, took Fernie down, but there wasn't really much other than that. This fight with Carlos Vieira. Carlos Vieira is a high-end BJJ black belt, 10th planet guy, nasty arm bars, nasty knee bars. Really somebody that grabs a hold of one of your limbs, you're going to be in a real problem. So taking him down 3 times, mostly just staying out of harm's way, neutralizing him, I can appreciate that too. It's that goddamn last fight with Mun Gafurov, Paul. He didn't shoot any takedowns.
Oh, yeah.
He shot effectively 0 in round 1. He shot effectively 0 in round 2. Here's the best part. In round 3, finally decided to shoot 1. But he was already down 2 rounds. You're already down 2 rounds, dog. At this point, you might as well just start slinging some bombs because the wrestling doesn't matter. And he finally shoots 1 half-hearted and doesn't get it. I don't know. He just didn't look like someone that was willing to go into the fire if need be. He didn't look like he was someone that could really make adjustments round to round, let alone minute to minute, which great fighters can do. He just kind of like, this is a solid athlete. The thing is that he shot no takedowns. So it's hard to say he's a write-off. He shot 10 takedowns and didn't get any of them. No. And when Gafurov's not exactly a bad opponent, right? He's got some decent wrestling of his own, strong hips, has a power advantage. He hurt Rin Nakamura early in that fight. And then after that, the kid was just super hesitant. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. and say, okay, maybe he's made some adjustments. Maybe he's gone back to the drawing board. And sure to God, his coaches, his team would be like, okay, power on the feet, striking on the feet. That's a plan B kind of thing. Let's just go back to the wrestling early and often. And if you do that, there's a clear path of victory against Nathan Fletcher. My problem is that when he went to decision with Carlos Vera, he landed 38. And when he went to decision with Fernie Garcia, he landed 36. And they're both considered lower end guys. There's nothing special about Nathan Fletcher, but just like the Cowell and Lothran fight his last time out, he's more prone to actually doing some real violence and getting taken down. And if you can't put away Fernie, and you can't go and you put away Carlos Vera, chances are this Fletcher fight would also go to decision. You're going to take him down more times than he takes you down. He smashed you with a decent elbow standing. You stood with him. You got cued a few times. He landed some good leg kicks or a punch to the face. And then we've got to rely on these terrible judges in Las Vegas to be like, yeah, man, control time better than damage. We agree. Now, last week, there was a number of fights. Asu Almabayev, all he had was takedowns. No damage, all takedowns. Bryce Mitchell, all takedowns, control, no damage. Rinner de Ritter, he had a lot of damage. But what sealed the deal for him was 4 and 5 with his control time. So in Abu Dhabi, they like control time. In Vegas, they typically don't. But it's the same shitty judges in both locations. So if it's Rin Nakamura, minus 185, nice. Rin Nakamura, minus 210. I suppose 210 would be kind of the price I have in my head. Rin Nakamura minus 400. It's like, man, I really don't like that. But again, just like the last time out, last fight we just broke down, I am going to take it for the simple reason of if Callan Lothran's taking you down 6 times, there's no way this guy's going to throw 2 fights in a row, right, Rinya? Right? Just shoot the goddamn takedown, man. If he does that, he wins. It's the bottom line. And I think a loss is good for a young fighter. Go back to the drawing board. What did we do wrong? You didn't wrestle. Don't do it 2 times in a row. Therefore, probably more prone to fighting the proper game plan. Therefore, more prone to getting the dub. But take Rinya Nakamura by decision.
Hot take, Cody, to make you feel a little bit better about Rinya Nakamura in this matchup. The Yakuza's already been paid off.
Yeah, from the last time.
There was a Ryzen card on Saturday night, Sunday morning. Saturday night kind of starts and then rolls into Sunday morning. They had somebody, do something and nobody actually saw it because it's in the middle of the night. Something happened over on that card that they don't need Rinya to serve them up the bag in this fight. But
I like it.
Similar type of things. I think Rinya was trying to learn on the job. I think he cost me a fortune on that Muin Gafurov card as well, or a fight as well. And it was so excruciating. And by round 3, it's like he was damaged and tired. But like, this is a wrestler. This is a guy who has spent his entire life wrestling. It's just like, if he has to just wrestle for 3 rounds, I don't think he necessarily gets tired. It's throwing spin and stuff and all of these different techniques that kind of tires him out. I think he tried to play with his food. I think he tried to learn on the job. Now it's like he's got another fight here. It's like if you have 2 straight losses, like the upside, the potential for you to grow and become all of your dreams, they kind of go out the window. Put that singlet back on, stick to the wrestling here. Whether it's 3 rounds or if he finds himself a sub, I'm not entirely sure, but Rinya is the pick for me as well. And if he loses this one, Cody, dead to me. 100% dead to me, because I believed in him as a prospect coming off of Road to the UFC. I kind of thought he was one of the better prospects coming off of Road to the UFC that we'd seen because of the lineage and the world class wrestling capability and tenure and stuff like that. And that last fight was just such a head scratcher, but that happens in this sport all the time. Rodolfo Vieira takes on Tresean Gore. Vieira minus 210 favorite to come back on Gore plus 180. Your thoughts?
Yeah, like, so you know me, I'm not overly a Rodolfo Vieira guy. Faded him his last time out against Andrey Petrosky. Thought Petrosky won the fight pretty clean, but at the same time, it's like Rodolfo's got a je ne sais quoi to him. His striking has gotten better, and the threat of the takedown is so live with him because his wrestling's not that great, but he'll shoot 10, 20 takedowns per fight if need be. Is that the guys are so worried about the incoming shot is that his striking is actually kind of serviceable. He can land a right hand over the top. He's got some okay pop. Physically, the guy's in awesome shape, but he's a Marcus Buchecha in the sense that sometimes things don't get going for him. He's not an elite level striker. He's not an elite level wrestler, and his elite level BJJ is really not all that elite anymore. Like, he can get on top of you and just not get a submission. He can rack
Yeah.
up some control time. You ain't going nowhere, but it's not necessarily, dude, if the fight hits the mat, you're dead. It's like, yeah, if the fight hits the mat, you're going to probably have one hell of a time getting back up, but it's not a foregone conclusion that he's going to pass guard, mount you, sub you first opportunity he gets. He's a little bit older. He's a little bit slower. But the guy takes his strength and conditioning real seriously. And I'll be honest with you, I rate Andrey Petrosky a lot higher than I rate Tresean Gore. Tresean, he's 5-3 in the UFC, man. It's like, pretty well you're not going to see a record like this at this level. And I understand that they're trying to keep him around and they're trying to keep him going, but so far the level of opposition has been fairly low and he doesn't be seemingly making these big improvements. On paper, he's got like an 83 or an 87% takedown defense, but no one's really taken. Marco Tullio didn't have to take him down. He just mollywopped him standing real badly. And Tonio Tricoli's real bad. And like, again, the fight didn't last all that long. Josh Frem can wrestle. Josh Frem got caught in a guillotine choke fairly early in that fight, but he was losing the fight to Frem up until the point of the guillotine. Cody Brunridge knocks him out, and Brian Battle took him down once. Brunridge took him down once. On paper, it looks like his takedown defense is not that bad. I would just say I've never really seen him fight someone who was coming in with a game plan of strictly wrestling. Like, everybody else is like, I may try to take you down, but I'm probably just going to try to strike with you. Rodolfo, meanwhile, I think is the same thing. He may try to strike with him for a little bit, but he's going to be shooting a bunch of takedowns. And if he gets them, that's his easy path here. Against Armen Petrosian, he got 3 takedowns on him, subbed him. Against Andrey Petrosky wrestled in college, right? He's able to get the 1 takedown on him. Even though it was just 1 takedown and he couldn't finish the fight, is 1 for 11, which you can appreciate a guy shooting 11 takedowns. The thing is, Petrosky wrestled in college. He's got strong hips. He's also in very good shape. When you look at him versus Chris Curtis, he goes like 0 for 20, but he still attempted 20 takedowns. The thing with a guy like Tresean Gore is that you only need 1 of them to stick. You only need 2 of them to stick. His takedown defense, I think, would be a little bit lesser. Although he's a physical enough guy, he just lacks real experience. I think his confidence is low right now. Rodolfo Vieira has enough power to hurt him standing and then follow up with the takedown. And worst case scenario, if this guy sprawl and brawls us, if Rodolfo cannot take him down, and he's forced to strictly strike with Tresean Gore, Gore averages like less than 3 strikes landed. Yeah, like, he's a low output guy. I appreciate the fact that the UFC keeps giving him opportunities and better paydays, but like, I wouldn't even bet this guy if he was on an LFA card. That's a lie. Who's the opponent? But you know what I'm saying is, like, he wouldn't be a standout guy in any organization, and yet they keep parading him out there. Why is that? Well, with Rodolfo, I think they're trying to give him a layup of sorts. And with Tresean, he's that layup. He's not proven to really be that good against most guys. Guys who get knocked out against Cody Brundage, I can't really get behind that.
No.
Although I've made the mistake of losing more money on Zach Reese since he got knocked out by him. Point being is Rodolfo needs a bounce back. This is his bounce back. He may shoot 10 takedowns and get 2 of them, but 2 will be enough. And if it stays standing, I think he's capable of maybe just ever so slightly edging him out. Cardio-wise, I don't really know about Gore. He doesn't really go late into fights. And with Rodolfo, he doesn't have a great gas tank, but he's been forced to go late into fights more often than Gore, so I actually trust his more. It's a minus 210 for Rodolfo Vieira. Seems real ugly. This week's Marcus Buchecha potentially, but Tresean Gore ain't no Martin Budai, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I mean, that was heavyweight, and that was Budai probably weighing 285 pounds as well. Everything's easier in hindsight, of course.
Of course.
But that type of stuff wears down. And you'd seen for Buchecha in the Umar King Rugrug fight that, like, trying to muscle around a big man really tired the shit out of him. So hindsight 2020, Budai was a great bet. I saw some people in our Discord had
Party Marty.
Valentine, I believe his name is. Um, he had Bush. He was saying Budai by decision, and it's like plus 650 or something like that. It was a great bet. Shouts to that guy. But yeah, Gore so many times now is like when he's been having success, it's been wrestling. It's like I don't think you want to play that. You don't want to be. You are not Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, pal. You are not. One, you don't have the cardio to do that. Two, you don't have the pace to really play that game. I don't think with Rodolfo Vieira. And on the feet, yeah, most significant strikes he's ever landed was 57 against Brian Battle, who's now a welterweight, and was doubled up on those significant strikes, 2-1 in terms of takedowns. The one thing that he showed last time out against Tulio is that he was too tough, probably for his own good, just taking an obscene amount of damage at range. Just the last little thing I wanted to kind of quickly look at between the two of these guys was 6 foot 75 inch reach and 6 foot 73. So they're basically around the same size. Rodolfo always coming in looking extra jacked. I like Rodolfo. I like Rodolfo to get back on track in this fight. Whether it be 15 minutes of stand up, I think his durability has been great. The one real blemish was against Fluffy, where Fluffy kind of just, and Fluffy was in trouble at least early in that fight. It's just Fluffy sets a pace that very few people can keep. I haven't seen anything from Gore to lead me to believe that he's going to be able to set that type of pace and absolutely cook Rodolfo in that way. Believe it or not, but I think Rodolfo's got the better striking. So I don't mind as a chalky piece this week. Rodolfo Vieira minus 200. So I'm with you. Moving on down, we got Andrey Pulyaev taking on Nick Klein in this is like the toilet bowl of 185 pounds. The tricky fight. Two guys that I don't really have high expectations with long term. Where are you at with Pulyaev versus Klein? Minus 150. Pulyaev comeback on Klein plus 130. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a dogger pass for me, so I took Nick Klein at the plus money. Bottom line here with Andrey Pulyaev is like, I don't like him. He's not my kind of Russian. He's an EV, 6'4", sounds good on paper, 77-inch reach, but like bottom line is like he's from the school of Alexander Shlemenko. So he's a straight up striking Russian. He's actually born in Chita, Russia. If you're not from Chechnya or Dagestan, or Ignu Chechnya, I love those guys. If you're not from if you're from Moscow, like those Sochi, I'm saying not my kind of Russian. That's where he falls into the category. Now he is southpaw, 6'4", as I mentioned. Body kick, nasty liver kick, which you would expect. High volume guy. He's a fun, can spin, kind of quirky, unorthodox, Shlemenko-esque style of striking. He's only 27, so maybe he'll get a little bit better. But he's a little bit too wild and he's a little bit too open. When you look at his amateur career, he went 3-5. And from the fights that you can find, he's mostly just getting taken down and controlled. His pro losses are largely him getting taken down. Now, when he came on the Contender Series, he fought a guy by the name of Liam Anderson. Liam Anderson from Buffalo. He's really not good. Liam Anderson was doing quite well against him. Took him down, had some good spots, and then just flat gassed out. Once he gassed out, Pulyaev started to take over, but I thought it was a very, very low-level performance. I don't think it's the kind of thing that you would sign a guy to the UFC off of, but Dana was one of these 5-contract Dana moods where everybody got a contract, and Pulyaev got the contract. So I faded him pretty heavy his last time out against Christian Leroy Duncan. And in that fight, it's like it's mostly just standing cage control. Like Christian Leroy Duncan shot only 2 takedowns, but he got 5.5 minutes of control time just up against the cage. At range, it's like everything he threw was seemingly landed. Pulyaev, no strength in the clinch. At 6'4", these shorter guys can just hold him up. Doesn't got that physicality because he doesn't come from a grappling base. He doesn't know how to use his leverage. He doesn't have that ability to mix in the takedowns of his own. Against Liam Anderson, whatever, he got 1 takedown there, but I mean, he was losing the grappling exchange to Anderson. It's just a low-level look. The Duncan fight, he lost on the 30-27, 30-27. One judge had it at 30-26. He just looked completely out of his element, albeit against not the world's worst opponent. When I look at Klein, who's dog money, Klein only wrestled in high school, but he was a state finalist his sophomore year. Didn't wrestle in college. Instead, he gets into MMA. He's a Pura Vida guy over in Wisconsin, and they're known for their grappling. When he came onto the Contender Series, he was like a 6-1 underdog against that Geraldo Souza. And boom, hits a quick takedown, takes the back, subs him. I've seen this guy fight in Canada. He lost to a guy by the name of Dorian Dokai. And Dokai was able to tire him out, stuff the takedowns, TKO him late. His last fight against Mansour Malik, he gets, maybe a little bit tired. He can fix up the cardio just a little bit. And he's young enough that I think he'll be 28. Young enough that he can fix up the cardio just a little bit. He's got an easy path to victory here. Mansour Abdul Malik wrestled at the University of Indianapolis. He's a solid athlete, and he's a brick wall of a guy. He's not that good. People kind of touted him as a super prospect. I don't think he's a super prospect, but he's a pretty strong guy. And to Klein's credit, he took him down in the first round and beat him up fairly handily. Won the first. Unfortunately, in the second, went 0 for 2 in takedowns, got taken down himself, eventually got TKO'd in that second round. I think his wrestling's good enough to take Pulyaev down. I think his grappling's good enough to hold Pulyaev up against the cage. He's got to do it for 2 of the 3 rounds and then survive for all I care. 50-50 fight as far as I'm concerned. Wrestler versus grappler versus striker. Pulaev's this big, tall guy who's mostly just using straight lefts and straight left body kicks. He needs a guy to plan around. And for Klein, I mean, he's willing, he's able, he's athletic enough, he's strong, he's got a good reactionary takedown. I think he just gets under his hips, takes him down, hopefully takes his back and puts him away. But if not, I'll grapple him for 2 rounds and then survive after that. So, yeah, slight dog money. I will take Nick Klein.
Yeah, I'll lean towards Nick Klein with you as well, but I don't know if I'm going to get to it. I think both of these guys are kind of ass. And the problem with Klein is that I have seen just too many times is that, he sets a pace that he can't really keep, and he looks pretty ugly as the fight wears on. If he's not able to get Pulyaev out of there, and the early release for Klein by sub prop is only plus 400, so short, not very generous whatsoever, I would say. Because for Pulyaev being a standing Russian, he's still Russian. He probably trains with Russians, and he knows Russians that are probably better submission specialists than Nick Klein. So, Klein will be the pick for me as well, but don't feel too overtly confident. Particularly, the one thing Pulyaev does do well is that, not against Christian Leroy Duncan, but Duncan was able to pace himself, hold that pace over the course of 3 rounds. But the cardio doesn't seem horrible for Pulyaev in some of his lower level fights. He's able to put up some pretty decent volume over the course of 3 rounds. So I can't really say the same thing for Klein. But I would expect Klein to have some success, particularly early in this fight. So hence why he is my pick. Speaking of guys with gas, we got Rafael Esteban taking on Felipe Bunes, minus 460 for Esteban. The comeback on Bunes, plus 360. This is an interesting fight because Esteban has the goods in terms of offensive wrestling. His entry to the hips looked pretty good. His control looks pretty good. The guy struggles to make the weight for some reason. I think he's probably pretty big for 125 pounds, don't get me wrong. But over and over, you just kind of see with this guy that round 3 gets ugly, man. So he had 11 takedowns against Jesus Aguilar. A lot of that was Aguilar just loves that guillotine. So it's he's kind of just giving him those takedowns. So that kind of factors into it a little bit as well. But round 3, he's getting boxed up. He's tired. Same kind of thing happened with Charles Johnson. He's able to get the takedowns. Round 3, 54-9. They didn't give it a 10-8, but it was probably could have been an argument to be made for it. Time and time again, this guy kind of gasses. He gets the takedowns, and the cardio falls off of a cliff. Bunes isn't necessarily great, but when Esteban gets those takedowns, Bunes has a pretty crafty submission game off of his back. He spent a whole bunch of time in Russia taking on he's in the ACA, taking his L's there, getting taken down, ending up in those positions. But fighting against guys who are going to bring a pretty similar stylistic matchup. And he's just got some craftiness off of his back that I think could cause some problems for Esteban over the course of 15 minutes. And I think he's a better striker with better volume on the feet. For me, it's dog or pass on Bunez. I'm curious to see where this market goes over the course of the week. But like laying minus 500 on a flyweight, one, it's a flyweight fight. We always talk about flyweights. The fights end up being relatively close. Two, I just don't trust Esteban. If we get, it's very, the play out has happened multiple times already. Get up 2 rounds, Esteban, and then round 3, you just gotta survive. You just gotta hang. But I think there's enough issues of, Bunez isn't just gonna be like lying flat on his back. Like he's got triangle setups, he's got armbar setups, he's got some pretty crafty grappling off of his back. Esteban's undefeated, so I understand why he's the favorite. I think he should be the favorite. I think the path for him of getting takedowns early, getting control time, and then round 3 just surviving is very, very likely. But I can't let him ruin my week. So it's dog or pass for me. Bunez, I saw it as high as like plus 400. I don't mind taking a shot on Felipe Bunez at that type of price right now. Your thoughts?
Yeah, again, I agree with the majority of what you're saying. I am going to fall for the trap and take Estevez and not take that dog pick. But yeah, listen, I agree. Bunez is super opportunistic. He's got 14 career wins. 10 of them are in the first round. I mean, this guy's dynamite early. He's got a flying triangle choke over our boy, Yoni Sherbatov. And then he's got some nice wins that have aged quite well. Michael Cylinder is able to hit him with a triangle armbar. His win over Yuma Horiguchi, which is for the LFA title, knocked him out in the first round. And of course, he's coming off a first round armbar over Jose Johnson. So again, 10 of his 14 wins are in the first round. It's after the first round. I feel like he is the one that falls off a cliff. Like he's super wily and he's got some speed and he's got some nasty hips to him and he'll throw up tons of submission attempts, but he tends to just burn a little bit hot. And when you talk about the flyweight division, oftentimes they are very close and competitive, but he's a 35-year-old flyweight. So, when you look back at him on years past, takedown defense has largely been an issue. He's got great submissions. He's got great power in his hands. He could make something happen, but he's being more so reduced to a one-round guy the longer time goes. You can't fault him for the fight with Josh Van. In fact, he wins the first round because Josh Van looked really good. The second round, it's like his speed has been diminished to 50%. His power is no longer there. He's not setting anything up. He's throwing one and done at a time. He gets just swarmed out by Van. I think that's what Esteban would go with. Now, what I mostly agree with you, what you're saying is Esteban, look at all the numbers on these fights, right? His fight with Jesus Aguilar, he got 11 takedowns and he landed 11 strikes. Like Aguilar tripled him up in the significant strikes. And Charles Johnson outlanded him
28 to 8 in round, because that's where like he was actually struggling to get these takedowns finally, right? Round 3.
Yeah, and
one of 6, so then he gets 28 to 8 in terms of significant strikes.
Well, Charles Johnson's the same thing. The first round he outstrikes Johnson 8 to 7. The second round, Johnson outstrikes him 11 to 1. And then in the third round, Johnson outstrikes him 54 to 9. So how did you win the second round getting outstruck 11 to 1? Well, I got a submission attempt and I went 1 for 7 on takedowns and got almost 4 minutes of control time. If the judges aren't looking for control time, if they're looking for, Bunez threw up an armbar and that triangle looked pretty good, and he outlanded Esteban by a margin of, 11 to 4, then yeah, minus 400 for a flyweight fight that may go to decision, and now you got to rely on judges. And this guy's not landing nothing when he's on top, and he's still gassing out. Mm-hmm. None of that bodes well. I just personally feel like Charles Johnson's got a really deep gas tank. Jesus Aguilar's got a pretty deep gas tank. Like, I don't think Bunez does. So, like, I just think that the takedowns are going to be too much and that he will have success with it. Plus, last thing is that this kid's 28, Nova Uniao guy. I think he'll be ready for the defensive grappling, and I do think that he's going to continue to make improvements. Whereas Bunez, he's a 35-year-old flyweight. He's quirky. He's tricky. He's not above catching somebody with something real quick, flashy. And if it doesn't materialize, I got to go with the bread and butter guy that's going to be grounding him over and over again and spending 3 or 4 minutes on top per round.
And then just keep your cheeks clenched in round 3.
Yeah. And I know I mentioned this earlier with Rinya Nakamura is minus 400, right?
Mhm.
And this guy's Rafael Esteban is minus 400. And who else? There was one more, I thought. Anyways,
Vallejos.
Was it Kevin Vallejos? Exactly. I'm taking Kevin Vallejos, who's a 4-1 favorite. I don't think I can parlay these guys together at the top and have like the utmost confidence. I think they win. I just think they're all overvalued. And I would want to know, I bet 2 of them and I'm getting plus money. Not, I bet 2 of them and it's still minus, I don't know, $1.65, $1.45. Like, that's not good enough, man. It really isn't. So there's a lot of risk with these big favorites this week. Although I think, a few of the bigger ones should roll anyways.
Yep. Piera Rodriguez takes on Ketlin Souza. Piera is a minus 190 favorite to come back on Souza plus 165. Who you got here?
I got Piera Rodriguez. Paul and I've said this for a decade now, banana peel pricing, when you talk about big favorites and like, well, what could go wrong? Well, essentially you could slip on a banana peel and lose, which is possible. I'll use Anderson Silva kick. You throw it and your leg shatters. Or what? Now I've come to realize, because the last number of banana peels that I've hit are all DQ losses. Whereas sometimes these people just headbutt people, or they knee an opponent on the head when they're on the ground, or like whatever it may be, man. Piera Rodriguez is that girl. Like, she's wily. She got flat out DQ'd for headbutting Ariane Carlosi in the face. So as much as I think
not have lost,
she's winning.
I won a bunch of money on that.
So
did I. Just like, because did you have Cornolle as well?
I did, and Cornolle was the underdog, which is the reason I was backing her. It was dog money,
and then it was a horrible bet. It was a horrible bet that I won.
Terrible.
You have to be honest when you have a horrible bet and you somehow still make money on it. That's
Rodriguez.
That's where I was at.
Rodriguez won the first round in that fight, but it was like close-ish. And then the second round, she dropped her hard with the right hand, then took her down, then beat her up, and then like looked like she gave her a small headbutt to the chest, and the ref warns her. He's like, "Hey, watch the head," and she looks up at him. It's like, oh, Piera Rodriguez. and I won that DQ. All my DQs since then I've lost. But the reason I'm bringing it up is I'm jumping on Piera Rodriguez is that she's very physical for this division, 31 years old, but she's strong. She spends a lot of time working with girls like Mackenzie Dern. I feel like her grappling is good enough to stay out of harm's way. And then with her physicality, I mean, she's usually the one coming forward. She's a little bit shorter, so she can fight you within the pocket. She's not big on combination punching, but like has some decent power in her right hand. And she'll mostly just hit you with 1 or 2 good shots, causing you to back up. Then she can dig an underhook and press you up against the cage. She's down with cage control. She's down with getting takedowns if they're presented to her. But it's really just a grinding style, which she's proven very effective as. Valeska Machado, former Invicta champ, she took her down 3 times, grinded her. Kay Hansen, low-key babe, but also really gross. Hard to tell sometimes. Was supposed to be a good prospect. Took her down 3 times. Sam Hughes is a grinder. Took her down 5 times. Jillian Robertson, that one, it definitely looked like she was dealing with some type of illness. But she scored a takedown in the first and didn't look terrible and then just really faded. Cornolle dominating before the DQ. And then that last fight against Josephine Knutson. I had Knutson. Big, tall, Muay Thai girl, high volume. And Piera just digs. She does a really good job of digging her head under your chin, keeping these taller opponents pinned up against the cage, and then just constantly working, taking them down. Her cardio seems to build up. As her opponents start to fatigue and slow down, she's picking it up. And where she's a little bit green, like she's only got 12 pro fights to her name, is that I think she's starting to accrue some decent training experience, pro experience fighting in the UFC level, and really kind of coming into her own. Ketlin Souza a little bit younger, but I think she's there to get muscled around. I mean, in her last fight against Angela Hill, she got taken down twice. It's a really bad look. Her fight against Marnik Man took her down twice.
Big red flag, yeah.
And then Karini Silva's a total badass, but just like took her down once and subbed her right away. So like what you got here is like a big clunky Brazilian girl who's very flat-footed, has some legitimate pop in her right hand, but outside of just like that one shot, that's about it. Piera Rodriguez, meanwhile, her durability is far and away good enough to take Souza's shots. So if we're forced to stand for a little bit, I'm cool with it. Volume-wise, Souza's fairly low volume, little higher than Rodriguez, but not enough to really say, it's going to be a domination. It's Piera's ability to get into the clinch, press her up against the cage, to muscle around, to take those takedowns, and to continue that. If you're looking for a live betting spot, the first round will be the closest round. The second and the third is where you're going to see that cage control start to rack up, the fatigue start to set in, the takedowns start to materialize, and that's where Rodriguez will take over. Until then, it'll be competitive for the first 5, and then I expect Rodriguez to take over with that grind for a decision. So I got Pierre Rodriguez for the unanimous decision.
I agree with everything you said except for the last little bit. Because Ketlin Souza, I will give credit where credit's due. I kind of expected that to happen against Angela Hill for her. And her best round was round 3. So I will say that Souza, maybe the gas tank's a little bit better than what you're giving her credit. But, the Waregi fight kind of showed that, that was kind of like the first little sign that the durability of Waregi, who hasn't fought since.
She has. She got bummed out the same way again.
Oh, that was the Manisi Gomes fight that I was thinking of.
Oh yeah. Well, no, the precursor to that. The precursor to that was Sosa. Yeah.
It was the Nisi Gomes was the one that knocked her silly. But Ketlin Souza did the same damn thing, which really threw a wrench in our Mexicans have great chins debate. But maybe it's just male Mexicans have. It's still like a work in progress. The that mathematical theory that we have there usually is the case, but Yasmin Waregi is an outlier in the science currently. I agree with a lot of things that you said, and I think it really is going to come down to the takedowns for Rodriguez, and that matchup against Josephine Knudsen is just like, you got to play that game. It's a stink. We're in the apex. There's like half of the fans in the venue are probably your family, and then they're splitting right at some moment that your family and friends, and then they're splitting the moment that you fight. So that a whole new, I don't know how it actually works there, but like there's not many people in the venue. You can have an absolute stinker, get those takedowns, don't hang out at range, don't need big shots, and ride this thing up, and just don't head, because I'll end up having money on this. Isn't Cornolle where I was thankful that you did the headbutt, even though it was a horrible bet on Ariane Cornolle. It was a horrible bet that won, which was nice. Just over and over, same game plan, man. That Knudsen fight, that's how you're gonna win this fight. Stick on her, standing cage control, get the takedowns when you can, drag this thing out, wear your opponent down, and over the course of 15 minutes, get your hand raised. So sounds like we're pretty much on the same page. Pierre Rodriguez is the pick for us. And finally, we got late add to the card. It was added this afternoon. Austin Bashi taking on John Yanis. Austin Bashi minus 550 favorite. Come back on Yanis plus 400. I backed Yanis in his most recent fight over on Fury. He's an underdog against Nick Aguirre. The one thing that he does struggle with in his game is his takedown defense, and that's exactly what Bashi's going to bring to it. Otherwise, like Yanis is actually a pretty like a half decent striker, has good pace, cardio, everything like that. But I understand why the early. I mean, where'd they open this? Yeah, minus 260. I understand why the early action came pounding in on Bashi, who is young, unrefined, but we should probably expect some growth from him moving forward. Christian Rodriguez was able to exploit him, but Christian Rodriguez has been around the damn block at this point. Short notice, Yanis coming in. The one deficiency he's got in his game is what Bashi should be able to control. Am I excited about playing minus 600? Bashi, not particularly, but he is my pick. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I got Bashi as well. It's another case of my ready to get hurt again. But yeah, I mean, listen, I backed him against Christian Rodriguez, who's kind of known as a prospect killer and an excellent counter wrestler. Like Rodriguez's best success, love him or hate him, is his ability to just cause guys to have to shoot 10 or 20 times and then tire them out and then start landing some strikes. I mean, he's beaten a lot of guys at plus money, and he's beaten a lot of guys that were touted as these top prospects. Bashi, to me, is a top prospect. This kid's reflexes, his athleticism, his reactionary skills, is basically his ability to set up a lot of these shots, outside trips, inside trips, single leg takedowns, double leg takedowns. I think he's very athletic. But with all that does come a greenness. It's like he's not really faced much adversity in fights. Asker, it's not a bad win. Pipe Vargas, that's not a bad win. Joe the Party Penafiel, Chris San Jose, they're really not bad wins. It's just none of these guys really tested you at all. So against Christian Rodriguez, he won the first round. He got the takedowns. He kind of struck a little bit, but I think he had more control time, and I thought he won the first. The second round, he really starts to take some damage. He now all of a sudden is shooting from way too far out, and he becomes in who's my guy there? Just lost to Lock Dog. Phillips. Kyler Phillips. Yeah, that's what happened to him, dude. He's very athletic in the first round. He moves extremely well. And with that fast twitch muscle, after the first round, he's shooting from way far out, diving at ankles. His game starts to fall off. These guys that are big, strong, and dogs, they're going to present a lot of problems for him. So that wait until he runs into that, that's going to be his biggest issue. When I look at John Yanis has certainly got a level of dog in him. And as you mentioned, his last fight against Aguirre, 4th round knockout, got the win, deep into the fight, got taken out a pile early, but tired his opponent, started to put hands on him, and got the victory. My issue is that at 31, this is pretty much who he is, whereas Bashi's getting a lot better fight to fight, camp to camp. So I do expect Bashi to come in even better. A loss, and I say this all the time, especially a first loss, good for a young fighter. Where'd you go wrong? Let's get the cardio up. Let's get the striking defense up. Let's figure out how to get some more control time once we get these takedowns. Whereas Giannis, he is who he is. Giannis is not on short notice in the sense that he had a fight scheduled 3 weeks from now. Yeah. But he's short notice in the sense that he didn't know he's fighting in the UFC against Austin Bashi, and he's had to shorten up his camp 3 weeks. He's now got to cut all the weight right away. Last but not least, really, he fights Eddie Torres, right? The guy's got 5 knockout wins, 4 decisions. Grappling has really never been his thing, right? No. But against Eddie Torres, he struggles with his grappling and he loses at 135. Against Cameron Smotherman, he can't take Smotherman down, which pretty well everybody does. And it's actually a good fight, really good fight. Fun fight, competitive fight, good striking battle. But Cameron Smotherman beats him at 135 pounds. His good win over Mo Miller, which didn't age well, Eduardo Alvarado, 10-7 journeyman, they're both by split decisions at 135 pounds. His loss to Gabriel Wanderlei, he got subbed in the second round, taken down, gives up his back, and subbed out at 135 pounds. So he's only recently moved up to 145. And at 31, it's just one of those, well, I'm just going to take the fights that are presented to me and try to go out there and beat some prospects. And it's gone to the UFC. It's badass. But now you're taking on like a pretty good size 145er in Bashi, who's going to look to take you down. So yeah, if I thought Yanis was big, strong, physical, stuff the takedowns, and keep this striking, I think he can outstrike Bashi. I think he can land the more damaging blows, cause Bashi to fight off his back foot. The optics look bad. He can squeak this thing out. But the threat of the takedown, it just looms too large for me. So I do think Bashi is able to scoop it up when needed, get out of jail free card, lands him out of harm's way, and enables him to cruise on the scorecards.
All right, Cody, we are just about out of time. But before we go, hit him with the PRP.
Yeah, this week we're going with Tatsuro Taira, Mateusz Rebecki, Elves Brener, dog number 1. Karol Rosa, although like Paul's not wrong about Nora Cornolle. Was that a dog pick for you officially?
Was officially.
Yeah, I mean, like I could see myself going.
But I've been so cold in July, bro. Maybe you should fade.
Who knows?
July's been like my worst batting month.
I will take a flyer on Neil Magny as well. Officially, he's dog number 2. Cornolle could be the dog number 3, but at the time of this recording, I am with Rosa. Magny's my dog number 2. I'm going to go with Kevin Vallejos, Nick Klein, dog number 3, Rinya Nakamura, Rodolfo Vieira, Rafael Esteban, Piero Rodriguez, and Austin Bashi. Really interested in looking at a prop standpoint for this week. A few good ones that I really like, but of course, we're going to save that for the Friday weigh-in show. And then, yeah, that's the PRP. Those are the picks. Shake it off, baby. Jump back in the win column. You mentioned that tons of regional stuff going on as well. Completely agree.
Not that much this week.
Not a ton, but enough that it's worth
There's
jumping
a PFL,
into.
And we're going to be doing a PFL show.
Well, there's definitely the PFL, which is a premier organization. So, of course, we're going to have a show to break down that. And then on top of that,
there's A1 Combat.
There's A1 Combat. BKFC, I would normally say total pass, but it's quite literally the only thing that went right last week as we hit a mini BKFC PRP for 6-1. Outside of that, we got nuked. So I owe it to BKFC to give them another shot. This A1 Combat card, normally it would be like, man, what the hell? But Nick Maximov's on the card. The Kevin Felipe, Keishan Pasternak fight's going to be really fun. Eric Sanchez, Humberto Bandenay, sign me up. Some really good fights on that card as well. So the grind never stops. It's just that people don't care how good you did on a BKFC fight night from Philly. People don't care how good you did on a UAE Warriors 61 or an LFA or an Octagon. It's UFC, baby. It's a premier market. It's the premier sport. It's what you guys are watching this preview show for. So you can't hold a good man down forever. And I'm ready to get back up, dog. Get me back up. That's the plan this week, Paul.
Let's get back up. It starts right now at UFC Vegas 108. Anyway, that's it for us. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Cody, I'm Paul. Saying goodbye and good luck.